You won't believe the shasterisk I pulled at my cheating wife's 50th birthday party. Let me walk you through this wild ride. It all started when I stumbled across some scandalous evidence on Lisa's phone. We're talking raunchy texts, nudes, videos, with some dude. Our marriage was built on trust, and she just torched that foundation to the ground. I was pissed, hurt, betrayed. You name the negative emotion, I felt it. But I didn't want to just confront her quietly. Nah, I had to make a statement, really drive the point home about the pain she caused me and our fam. Her 50th B-Day bash with all our nearest and dearest was the perfect opportunity for some explosive drama. In the days leading up to it, I crafted this juicy PowerPoint exposing her affair down to the raunchiest details. But then I had a change of heart. Instead of just blasting her for being a cheater, I wanted to remind everyone of the love we once shared too. So at the party, I got up and gave this nostalgic speech. How we met, our wedding, our daughter's birth, all the amazing memories. I really milked the sappiness to set the mood, you know? But right when everyone was feeling the warm fuzzies, BAM! The PowerPoint dropped, airing out Lisa's dirty sexting laundry for all to see. Jaws literally dropped to the floor as the truth unraveled. But here's where I really turned the screws. Instead of a normal birthday cake, I had one made with Lisa and her side piece's naughty photos plastered all over it. You can imagine the awkward silence as it was rolled out, and I encouraged everyone to sing Happy Birthday, while Cheater Pants looked absolutely mortified. Then I handed over the divorce papers right there in front of God and everybody. Lisa just crumpled into tears while her family looked absolutely shook. I'd been holding on to those bad boys awaiting the perfect dramatic timing. Afterwards, Lisa's parents and siblings went ape, saying I publicly humiliated her in an unforgivable way by exposing the affair like that. On the flip side, my own crew, including our daughter, had my back, understanding the soul-crushing pain of being cheated on. In hindsight, yeah, maybe ambushing her at a party and ruining her birthday wasn't the classiest move. Counseling or talking it out privately could have been smarter options. But in that heated moment, I just wanted to detonate her web of lies in the most explosive way possible. I'm telling this story not as a blueprint for you crazies to follow, but more as a cautionary tale about how ugly the aftermath of infidelity can get. If you ever find yourself in those gut-wrenching shoes, try to keep a cooler head than I did. Seek support, communicate, and think through the consequences before going nuclear like yours truly. It's easy to get caught up in a fiery rage of betrayal. Edit. Damn, I didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Let me clarify some details I left out initially. First off, Lisa didn't even contest the divorce after that party meltdown. She copped to the affair, trying to blame my demanding work schedule for why she strayed and sought attention elsewhere. According to her, Side Piece McGee made her feel young and desired again in ways I couldn't. As if that's an excuse? Our daughter actually had suspicions about Lisa's shady behavior, but was completely in the dark about the full-blown affair thanks to her mom's lies and manipulation. It kills me that she got caught in the crossfire of Lisa's deceit, too. As for Mr. Steal Your Girl, get this. Dude used to work for me before I had to let him go when the pandemic hit hard. Never saw this backstabbing coming from a former employee. After that party, Lisa's family threatened legal action against me for publicly humiliating her or whatever. Lisa managed to talk them off that ledge, though, admitting she brought this mess on herself fair and square. She's expressed regret and remorse for how it all went down, but come on. That ain't putting Humpty Dumpty back together again, if you know what I mean. Since we divorced, I've been figuring out my new single lifestyle, dealing with some dark thoughts for sure, but staying strong for my daughter's sake. She's my #1 reason for persevering through this nightmare. I could never abandon her like her mom abandoned our family. To those calling cap and saying this is fake or exaggerated, kiss my ass. This is real freaking life, not a movie script. I shared it looking for support after getting cheated on, not skepticism. If you don't believe it, that's on you, but don't diminish my trauma. For real though, I appreciate everyone who's shown empathy and solidarity by sharing your own messed up relationship stories. It's been hugely cathartic hearing I'm not alone in this struggle. We gotta look out for each other. 'Cause as you can see, the road of love and heartbreak can get treacherously ugly even when you least expect it. Like I said, discovering those incriminating texts and videos on her phone absolutely gutted me. We're talking a 20-plus-year marriage flushed straight down the crapper in an instant. All those years of being a faithful, devoted husband while she carried on for God knows how long with side piece McGee behind my back. I was an emotional train wreck in those first few days and weeks, a toxic mix of sadness, anger, disbelief. You could probably smell the booze wafting off me from miles away as I stewed in my basement drinking my sorrows. My head was spinning with all these painful questions. How long was it going on? Who else knew? How could the love of my life betray me like this? Amidst that drunken misery, the idea for the PowerPoint exposure at her 50th started taking shape. At first, it was just a raw, unfiltered desire to devastate her world the way she devastated mine. Like, she ripped my heart out, so I wanted to return the favor as savagely as possible in front of everyone we know and love. But as I pieced together the PowerPoint and saw old pictures of happier times pop up, I realized I wanted to show the full emotional journey too, from marital bliss to utter betrayal. Remind everyone that Lisa wasn't just some heartless cheater, but a woman who went against solemn vows and torched a once beautiful family to ashes. Sure, confronting her privately or in counseling were probably more mature options in hindsight. But this was my raw, irrational headspace in those first few weeks. Either scream the truth to the heavens or let it internally consume me. An implosive meltdown was imminent if I bottled it up. Did I take things too far with the explicit cake or blindsiding her with divorce papers? Maybe, maybe not. That's not really for me to judge at this point. All I can say is in that moment, it felt like the ultimate form of poetic justice after her ultimate betrayal against me. I know some of you think I went too far and took things too into shock value territory, but if I've learned anything from this shit show, it's that infidelity is rarely a quiet, contained matter. When it hits like a nuclear blast, obliterating your very reality, often making you do or say things you never could have imagined. Some have asked if we'll ever be able to co-parent effectively, or be on speaking terms for our daughter's sake after what went down. Honestly, your guess is as good as mine at this point. I'm just trying to take it one day at a time, leaning on my friends and family who stood by me through the worst of it. Therapy has also been a game changer in processing all this trauma. What I know for sure is that I'll never let Lisa's inexcusable actions drag me down permanently. For my daughter's sake, if nothing else, I have to be the example of resilience, of getting back up after the world knocks you down harder than you ever thought possible. It'll be tough, but we're survivors. So a couple weeks, I get this random email from some dude named Marcus claiming to be Lisa's affair partner, the side piece that started this whole shit show in the first place. At first, I just wrote it off as a prank or someone trying to stir up more drama. But then he started sending pics and details only the real deal would know. Turns out side piece McGee has had a serious change of heart about enabling Lisa's infidelity behind my back. He said seeing how utterly devastating the fallout was for me and our family after the birthday party made him realize what a home-wrecking scumbag he'd been. The dude straight up apologized and said he wanted to come clean. At this point, I figured why the hell not? Might as well let the truth explosions keep on coming since Lisa clearly wasn't being fully honest with me anyhow. So I agreed to meet up with Marcus for a drink to hear his side of things. Get this, according to Marcus, the affair had been going on for nearly 3 years. That lying cheater looked me straight in the eyes and swore on our daughter's life it was just a recent fling when I first confronted her. Just absolute sociopath-level deception, you know? But it gets even more twisted. Marcus admitted he initially pursued Lisa for an ulterior motive. He wanted insider intel to sabotage my business and get revenge on me for firing him years ago. Dude legit saw sleeping with my wife as just a means to an end against me professionally. Toxic doesn't even begin to describe that level of fuckery. And here's the real kick in the nuts. While he began beating himself up over the guilt of the affair, Marcus also confessed that Lisa was straight up love-bombing and manipulating him too by the end. She started spinning lies about leaving me for good and making all these grand promises to officially be with him. Old girl was out here living a straight double life. So in a weird way, I actually felt a strange sense of sympathy for the guy, despite him being the one who willingly enabled my wife's betrayal for years. Like, he got played just as hard as I did by her chronic lies and deceit. We were both victims of Lisa's selfish games. Marcus offered to testify on my behalf about everything, to help me get as much as possible in the divorce settlement since she blatantly discarded any semblance of ethics or morality. He's handing over a trove of incriminating evidence: videos, texts, emails, nudes, you name it. With his insider info, I may actually be able to take her for every last penny she's worth and then some. Part of me feels like I should take the high road and not try to obliterate her financially over this. But the other part keeps flashing back to that birthday party humiliation. The devastated look on my face as everyone realized what a lying snake she'd become. Why should I show any mercy after how thoroughly she betrayed our vows? I'll admit, it's a massive weight off just having another person substantiate how horrifically Lisa disrespected me and our marriage over all these years. Her masks and false narratives are continuing to crumble daily thanks to the truth bombs Marcus keeps supplying. In a sick way, I'm almost gleeful getting Theseroid-raged truth explosions off my chest and watching her fortress of lies get blown to pieces. Call me petty, call me vindictive. I don't really care at this point. I'ma just keep riding this wave of raw, cathartic chaos until I can finally get some closure. So I finally had the big sit-down with Marcus to get his first-hand account of the long-term affair. Dude didn't hold back, giving me all the grimy details. How they first got together, the sneaky meets at hotels, even some of their raunchiest sexual exploits. It was a hell of a lot to process hearing it straight from the side piece's mouth. I figured with his testimony and all the incriminating evidence he was providing, Lisa would have no choice but to finally come clean herself. Maybe even show a shred of remorse or accountability for once instead of gaslighting me. But of course, that bunny trail of hope led straight into another hole of lies and chaos. When I confronted Lisa with Marcus's entire rap sheet of their affair, she just lost her goddamn mind. Full-on meltdown mode, throwing things, screaming about how we were conspiring to ruin her life. As if she didn't already torpedo our family unit with her own selfish actions, she's now doing a complete 180, claiming Marcus was some unhinged, obsessive stalker who forced himself on her and she's the real victim here. Said he was blackmailing and threatening her this whole time to go along with his depraved delusions. I mean, what in the actual gaslight? Needless to say, Marcus was beside himself too when he got wind of these new baseless allegations. He's threatening to sue for defamation and take a lie detector test to prove he's being truthful. And I obviously don't believe Lisa's ridiculous version of events for 1 second given her persistent lying. In the midst of this three-ring shitshow circus, Lisa has now gone nuclear too, petitioning for a restraining order against not just Marcus, but me as well. Can you believe that? Claiming we're in some deranged conspiracy plotting against her. She's making all these far-fetched allegations of emotional abuse, saying my behavior surrounding the birthday party exposed our daughter to severe trauma and distress. Conveniently leaving out, the whole part where she carried on a years-long affair and shattered our family into a million pieces. So now we're headed to court in a bitter, he-said-she-said battle over the restraining orders, the divorce proceedings, and who knows what else. Lisa is hell-bent on painting herself as the ultimate victim to try screwing me over for everything I'm worth. I feel like I'm trapped in the damn Twilight Zone. My head's still spinning trying to separate fact from fiction here. Was Marcus ever telling the full truth himself? Is Lisa that phenomenal of a deceiver and manipulator that she roped him into at some point? There's so many versions and layers of lies I can barely keep it all straight. But one thing I know for certain, through all this insanity and dramatic detonations, I will not let Lisa escape taking full accountability for her selfish actions. Not after the emotional wreckage she caused with her chronic betrayals. I don't care how messy it gets, how many courtrooms I have to step into as these battle lines get drawn. I'm riding this tornado of truth all the way to its finally resting place, wherever that may be. Mark my words, the lies will end. I'll make sure of it. So to catch you up, the court hearing over her bogus restraining order requests against Marcus and I was an absolute shitshow circus. Lisa trotted out this cringeworthy performance, trying to paint herself as an innocent, helpless victim, while portraying us as these unhinged conspirators out to destroy her life. It was Oscar-worthy bad acting. Her clown lawyers brought in texts and emails from Marcus that were supposedly threatening, but purposefully took a lot of the context and content out of frame. Needless to say, the judge didn't buy her fabricated narrative for 1 second and swiftly dismissed the restraining order petitions. That's when Lisa completely lost her marbles in open court, just ranting and raving about how we were going to pay for ruining her life over one little mistake. She had to be physically restrained and escorted out by bailiffs while howling these unhinged accusations at us. At that point, you'd think she hit rock bottom and would be forced to face facts, right? But nope. The very next day, this twisted succubus took her antics to a horrifying new low that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. While I was at work, Lisa somehow broke into my house through a back window. She then proceeded to smash up every single room in an absolute path of destruction. Overturned furniture, shattered dishes, clothes, and memorabilia strewn around. But it got even sicker. She desecrated our wedding photos by literally shredding and lighting them on fire in the middle of the living room floor. That was just the start of her deranged arson spree around the house, too. When I arrived home to the smoldering ruins and called the cops, it turned out she took things one step further into the abyss. Apparently, Lisa had camped out in our daughter Emma's bedroom, trashing it and nabbing personal effects, including Emma's childhood stuffed animals. As officers were taking stock and collecting evidence inside, we began hearing this haunting sound coming from the backyard. A faint, muffled crying. Then the stench of gasoline overwhelmed us as we turned the corner outside. There was Lisa, holding a lighter over a heap of Emma's stuffed animals that she had doused with fuel in a sick bonfire setup. She had this completely unhinged, hollow look in her eyes as the flames grew brighter. A few more seconds and she would have struck that lighter. "This is what you took from me?" Lisa began wailing through her tears about losing her daughter in the divorce fallout as we watched on in sheer horror. It took 4 officers to finally subdue her and cart her off to psychiatric detainment. In that single night, my life turned into a living nightmare. My safe space, my home, our memories, all turned to smoldering ash and ruin. And the thought of what Lisa was prepared to do to those stuffed animals Emma cherished. I can't even put words to how sickening and depraved that was. Just, why? Why did she feel the need to exercise all her hatred and bitterness over the situation by destroying the home we made and the keepsakes our daughter held dear? To go that unforgivably far in her scorched earth path? Emma was simply inconsolable when she arrived home from school and saw the fallout form her mother's mental break. We're now having to stay with family for a while as I figure out getting the house professionally cleaned and repaired. My safe haven is now a haunting tantrum. I'll be straight up. I'm struggling more than ever now. Seeing the depths of Lisa's depravity up close like that has me questioning everything I thought I knew about her. This isn't just a grieving, vindictive woman. This is someone struggling with very serious mental and emotional issues who is lashing out at apocalyptic levels. Part of me feels immense pity watching her deteriorate and self-destruct like this. The human side can't help but remember the good times and wonder where it all went so wrong. But the stronger part of me has to remain resolute. Her actions leading up to this were unforgivable, indefensible. She made her bed and self-imploded. So I'm doubling down on seeing this divorce and separation through to the bitter end, locking her out of every last part of my life that she so willingly torched to the ground herself, protecting Emma from any further trauma or collateral damage from her mother's hatred. After much consideration, I decided to give Lisa one more opportunity. Though apprehensive, part of me hoped seeing her might provide some closure or answers. Emma deserved that much after the trauma her mother had put us through. The visit was markedly different from what I expected. Lisa was heavily medicated but lucid in a way I hadn't witnessed in months. She acknowledged our presence, though her reactions were subdued. No erratic outbursts this time. Just a distinct emptiness behind her eyes. The doctors explained that with strict adherence to medication and continued therapy, Lisa would soon be discharged home. They cautioned it would be a prolonged and challenging path to any semblance of stability. However, there remained a flicker of possibility, dim as it seemed. I could see the conflict on Emma's young face. As much turmoil as her mother inflicted, She didn't want this outcome, to see the woman who gave her life reduced to a hollow version of herself, emotionally vacant. There would be no heated confrontations or declarations of being right, just sadness for someone who had wandered so far inwards that they nearly lost themselves entirely. On the drive home, Emma quietly wept, seemingly mourning the loss of her mother long before any possibility of physical death. In that moment, I realized our only path forward was to seek a different one, a fresh start away from this traumatic landscape. In the ensuing months, I made the difficult decision to uproot us and begin anew across the country. A chance for Emma to breathe free of reminders of her mother's descent, lingering around every corner. While I appreciated this community where we had built our dreams as a young couple, those nostalgic positives were tainted, overshadowed by how everything disintegrated. We needed a new beginning, not necessarily fleeing the past, but allowing Emma's spirit a chance to flourish outside the shadows of those traumatic memories. An opportunity for us to gradually rediscover optimism about the future. Now, 2 years later, we've settled into a new city, home, and lifestyle. Emma is a happier, thriving preteen after counseling. I've reestablished my career as we patiently rebuild our small family one day at a time. Do I still reflect on where things went awry with Lisa? Certainly, but I no longer dwell on the whys and how-comes. She has chosen to continue her rehabilitation apart from us as Emma and I invest our energy into the present.